The future of work is emotional. Human emotions are one of the most powerful sources on our planet. They start wars, they drive peace, they allow us as humans to move through complexity to the point of action. They heal deep wounds. So why for so long have we been conditioned in our workplaces to check them at the door? We live in a world that prioritizes cognition. Specifically in the workplaces, cognitive always is the first question. What can you do? What do you know? What skills do you have? And very little do we ever ask about affect. Today I'm here to talk about emotions. And when we start to center emotions in our workplace, we will not only continue to help our organizations to meet their goals and do amazing things, but we will also help the individuals that work there thrive. So let me start first with work for a little bit. Work has absolutely changed. There once was a time that you could clearly draw a line between work and life. Work now is blurring into home. Home is now blurring into life. Work is where the Wi-Fi is, right? But think about that. That's also your kitchen table, sometimes your closet, maybe a physical office space, sometimes in between your child's soccer game. It's important to think about this notion because while we've always had generations in the workplace, one thing is different, and that is technology. Technology allows us to give and receive information at rapid speed. Pew Research Center states that 85% of Americans consume their news from a digital platform. When you start to think about this data and you start to look at it deeper, you see pathways that are social media outlets. Things like TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, if you're not that cool anymore. But this is important because we have a clear window into the individuals we work with every day and what is going on in their lives. We can no longer pretend we don't know who our colleagues voted for. We can't turn our eye to something that we know deeply motivates them. And when tragedy hits beyond the four walls of our organizations, we cannot turn off our hearts to how that is impacting the people on our teams. Emotions matter. So let me get a little bit granular here for a moment. Every day, individuals come into your workplaces to contribute. They come in with an intersection of identities. Me, for example, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a multiracial female, I'm a leader of people. Those identities are chock full of emotions. I cannot pick and choose which ones to bring with me, which ones to leave at home, and neither can you. So what do we do with them? First, we must realize that emotions have meaning, and the meaning is what you make of them. Individuals in your workplaces need three things in order to feel fulfilled and well. The first thing is survival, the second thing is belonging, and the third thing is the ability to become who they are intrinsically motivated to be. When we talk about survival, we're talking things like social determinants of health, food, shelter, right? Health insurance, policies that protect us as humans, a paycheck that allows us to live a life that we're proud of. Assuming that these basic needs are met, and they always aren't, right? But assuming that they are, the next step is belonging. Belonging is critically important in the workplace because it's the #1 retention marker in any industry. A personal definition of belonging for me, I derive from Cole Arthur. Cole Riley Arthur said, belonging is not just coming to a place and feeling like you're dignified and that you have meaning and that you're seen and that you can contribute, but it's also leaving that place better than what you found it. That place is changed because you were there. This is belonging. I'm going to talk about a little story with some emotions in the workplace. In 2016, I took a leadership role at the University of Delaware. Shortly thereafter, I had my third baby. When returning to work, I was full of all the obvious emotions, right? I was happy and joyed and full of love, but also full of fear and anxiety and depression. I couldn't keep up at work. We all know 3 months don't sleep that well. And what professionalism looked like at that time for me was hiding. I spent a lot of time in my office. I called out of meetings because I didn't want to put together formed thoughts. I had deep, deep fear that I was no longer good at my job anymore. But one beautiful thing, a gift, continued to happen each day. And that was a team that showed up for me. They asked me how I was doing. They checked in. I distinctly remember the day a colleague of mine said to me, "You know it's okay that you're not your best right now. You just had a baby. No one expects you to be 100%. Let me help you. What can I take off your plate? You would do the same for me." In this moment, it absolutely clicked. Things started to get better because I was able to be vulnerable and take risks with my emotions, and I started to find paths forward. I went to counseling. I started to prioritize my mental and physical health. I openly talked about postpartum depression in the spaces that I was in to normalize that human experience in the workplace. This is what bringing your whole self to work looks like. It means safety and care, but you have to start with being a little bit vulnerable. So 1 second, because I know for some of you out there, when I just said the word vulnerable, you thought, not for me, no thank you. Potentially it's because you think you have to disclose your deepest, darkest secrets to your colleagues, or maybe you think people will be crying all day unhinged at work. I'm not suggesting that I want you to walk around stomping your feet like a hungry toddler who has missed their nap, and I know because I have a few of those, because a colleague frustrated you or you're irritated at a work result. When I talk about vulnerability, I'm suggesting that you try on phrases that elicit social connection. Emotional connection deepens belongings. These things very much look like, "I'm not my best today." Or perhaps somebody comes to you with a very difficult problem that you don't know the first thing about solving. "Thank you for sharing that with me. That must have been really hard. I don't have the answers, but let me help you find it." This is what vulnerability looks like in the workplace. The second thing I want to talk about with emotions is that they're fleeting. If this is new to you, give yourself grace. As your emotions start to show up for you and you're vulnerable with your colleagues, flag them. Name them, right? Take away their power, disarm them. Start to ask them questions. Are these emotions even work-related at all? The next step is to really find those productive paths forwards and turning them into action. Before I leave my talk today, I want to talk about one thing that's really important to me. If you are an employer or a leader in this room, I want you to know that every organization has a culture of emotions, even if it's one of suppression. I encourage you to find ways to go upstream and remedy the root of the systematic problem so that we don't have to continue picking people out downstream to help them to fix a problem they did not create. Emotions matter. The future of work has to be emotional. And as you are walking away with this new superpower, know that it is a skill that you have to start practicing today. Thank you.